r/NoSleep. Posted by u/thepurplefeline. He's not allowed to watch horror movies. He can't watch that movie. I tell my fiancé, Sean. Why can't he? Sean replied. Because, I asked you not to put it on. But he's 17 years old and the movie is more like a PG-13 movie. Please don't argue with me, before I have to go to work. Okay. Whatever. Sean responds. We've been dating for 8 months now and we get along really well. However, sometimes he likes to push my buttons regarding my son Hunter, but that's just because he doesn't know the real reason why I keep Hunter from watching certain movies. Hunter mimics horror movies into real life. After watching the movie, Hunter's almost becomes possessed, where he takes on the persona of a character in the movie, almost as if the character in the movie switches places with Hunter. This phenomenon had me searching for answers, as to why Hunter acts this way, which took me all the way to Rome, Italy and then to the Vatican. I met with one of the Pope's appointed cardinals, who didn't believe that Hunter was possessed when the cardinal met with Hunter. I pleaded with the Vatican, but they wouldn't help me. As Hunter and I were headed back to Rome's airport, the taxi driver said he heard of a similar situation of a young boy, who fell under demonic possession after watching horror movies, and he suggested that I go to the Tempio Maggiore di Roma, which is an old synagogue outside of Rome. Desperate for answers to help my son and already having paid thousands of dollars that I didn't have, the airline agreed to postpone my flight. The synagogue was understanding of my plight and the rabbi told me that Hunter's situation sounded similar to something that happened in the scriptures, where a teenage boy would become possessed after going to the Colosseum. However, he didn't know of any cure for this problem and suggested for me to stay on my current course of keeping Hunter away from horror movies. In order for him to turn back into Hunter, I have to keep him tied down, where I make him watch home movies of himself being an ordinary boy. I have to get ready for my 3 to 11 p.m. nursing assistant job, while Sean and Hunter talk in the living room about playing chess. After getting ready, I say goodbye to the both of them. I drag myself into work, which is no different than any other day. While I'm at work, I try to focus on how well Sean was interacting with Hunter, teaching him how to get better at chess. Another part of me can't stop thinking about Sean and whether he'll listen to me and not put a horror movie on, in Hunter's presence. Thinking about the horror movie and Hunter is causing me to have great anxiety, where I can't think straight at work. Maybe, I should have sat Sean down and talked candidly about Hunter's mental condition, however, I chose not to because I didn't want to scare Sean away. At present time, all Sean thinks is that I might be an overbearing mother or that Hunter may be too squeamish to watch horror movies, but Sean doesn't realize what happened to my old boyfriends, Steve and Don. My mind blacks out the demise of Steve and Don, because thankfully, by me not allowing Hunter to watch horror movies, no recent unwanted behaviors have occurred. All of this thought-provoking anxiety causes my shift to go by relatively quickly and I drive back home. I text Hunter to tell him I'm on my way back home and I text Sean as well, who has been sleeping over more and more at the house that I've been renting. Both of the guys don't text me back, which isn't a cause for alarm, because they typically don't respond back unless if I add a question mark at the end of a text. I park my car and walk into the house. I enter through the kitchen and turn the light on. "Hello, are you guys still awake?" I call out. I'm not surprised if they're sleeping because it's now close to midnight. I go into Hunter's bedroom and I slowly open the door, so I don't wake him. As I open his bedroom door, I see a bunch of dirty clothes besides Hunter's bed and then I see Hunter sleeping in his bed. I'm glad that Hunter and Sean were doing something outside rather than sitting around the house all night, because Hunter is homeschooled and doesn't go out much to play with the other kids. After closing my door, I go into my bedroom and I'm disappointed not to see Sean in my bed. I know that he has to be in work by 8 a.m., but I wish he would have stayed the night or at least had texted me to tell me that he was going back to his apartment. Communication is one of the things that him and I are trying to get better at, now that we are getting closer to our wedding date. I still need a while to wind down from work, so I turn the television on in the living room and pour myself a glass of wine. I turn Netflix on to watch the new Tiger King series. As I scroll through Netflix trying to find the series, my eyes light up with terror when I see under the Watch Again category, the movie Pet Sematary comes up. Oh my god, please tell me this didn't happen. I say out loud to myself. I haven't seen the movie in over a decade, but I recall that when something dies and is buried in the pet cemetery, it comes back to life in a demon-like state, where it wants to kill. My brain is racing a mile a minute trying to figure out if Sean watched this movie by himself or if Hunter watched it with him. Hunter wouldn't be sleeping right now if he took on the persona of something that was buried and came back to life. I tell myself to try to calm down. I can't stop sweating because my heart won't stop working double time thinking if Hunter watched this movie. I know that Sean has to work early tomorrow morning, but I need to know that he is okay, so I call him, but he doesn't pick up and his phone keeps ringing. I swear that I can hear his phone faintly going off in the distance, but the sound is so low that I'm not sure if I'm just hearing things. I keep calling Sean to see if I can hear his phone, and when I get close to the living room window, I realize that I can hear his phone in a very low tone. "Oh no!" comes out of my mouth, when I realize that Sean's ringtone isn't coming from within the house but outside. I can't stop crying as I'm consumed with fear and hopelessness for Sean's safety. Being that it's close to midnight and Sean hasn't responded to my text or calls, I know that something really wrong has happened. I get to the backyard and I can't see too much because it's dark out, so I call Sean's phone again, and this time I can hear it a little louder now that I'm out of the house. I walk towards where I can hear the ringtone and I start to realize that I've walked closer to where Hunter and I buried our cat that died about a year ago. My heart starts beating uncontrollably, as I get to a freshly disturbed dirt mound that is rectangular shaped in the backyard. I fall to my knees once I realize that Sean's ringtone is coming from this shallow grave. I hit the ground a couple of times out of regret, as I start to hysterically cry. I knew I should have gotten rid of the TV. I keep on saying out loud over and over again. With no time to actually grieve, I slowly walk back into the house, where I continue to cry. I grab one of the SD cards with home movies on it and I put the SD card into my pants pocket, then I grab the handcuffs and proceed to Hunter's room. I feel lifeless and void of emotions, knowing that Hunter had buried Sean in the backyard. I haphazardly attach one of the handcuffs onto the head of the bed and the other handcuff onto Hunter's wrist. My mind is reliving the same nightmare, when Steve disappeared after Hunter watched Children of the Corn and how Don disappeared after Hunter watched The Shining. The only solace that I have, is that at least this time, I'm not wrestling with Hunter, where he's trying to kill me. Hunter starts to move around, while his hand is handcuffed to the bed. I put the SD card, that has hours of home movies on it of Hunter, into his television and I keep on shaking Hunter for him to wake up. Once Hunter wakes up and is watching the home movies of himself, I go sit at the kitchen table, as I mourn the loss of Sean and the fact that we are probably going to have to move once again.